जब जन्मे मारवाड़ में घर अति आनंद नर नार यह बधाई प्रमुंड में ब्रह्मांड में त्रिगुण समेत विस्तार यह बधाई ब्रह्मांड में त्रिगुण समेत विस्तार जब जन्मे मारवाड़ में बोलिए श्री धाम के धनी की जय। To recap what we talked about yesterday, we talked about the three distinctions of Ras Leelas. One that actually happened, one that was eternalized, one that happened in this world. So it happened in Keval Brahma, it was eternalized in Sablik Brahma in the wisdom matrix of Akshara's mind, and the one that happened in this world. We talked about what happened afterwards, the 7 days of Gokula Lila and the 4 days of Mathura Lila. And after that, we said the spirit or the power of Akshara Brahma left for Golok Dham. As such, the spirit of Radhaji from Golok Dham had to endure the 100 years of separation from Sri Krishna as he was cursed by the Sri Dhamma Sakha while they were in Golok Dham. As such, we understood why Radha, although not far away, never goes to see Sri Krishna and vice versa. Sri Krishna promises that he would be back in 4 days from Mathura, but he never returns. He rather sends Uddhava to convince them to not cry or convince them to not feel bad about the absence of Sri Krishna there in Gokul. And that consolation does not work because they are the lover of Sri Krishna, the Gopiya, Radharani. So until we have the understanding of Tartam, as we have been stating ever again and again, that many of these concepts become unclear, obscure, and often are given a shallow explanation. The marriage between the marriage between Sri Krishna and Rukmini is glorified in Bhagavata Discourse, yet everywhere you go, you only hear the name of Radha Krishna, you do not hear the name of Sri Krishna and Rukmini. The eternal love of Radha and Sri Krishna is glorified, yet it seems, if we do not understand the secrets, that Sri Krishna, in a way, I would not use the word cheated, but it deceives Radharani. It seems that way. So we talked about why Sri Krishna never meets Radha again once he leaves from Mathura, or he never marries her, but marries Rukmini, other 8 queens, and rescues 16,100 princes and have kids with them. So we talked about 3 distinct Leelas of Sri Krishna. What happens when the great war of Mahabharata happens, the revelation of divine wisdom in Bhagavad Gita, and who revealed that intellect, who revealed that knowledge. As we said, Nacha Sakyam Tanmaya Bhuyak Tatha Bhaktum Asheshata Paramhi Brahma Kathitam Yoga Yuktena Chetasaya. Sri Krishna says, it is not me who revealed the greater understanding of Bhagavad Gita. It was the Lord Supreme who resided within me and revealed through me. That is why there are some divine teachings in Bhagavad Gita, especially the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is the Purushottam Yoga, which describes the Lord Supreme and his abode in slight details, not extensive details, but slight details of that can be found in the 15th chapter. We talked about Bhagavad Gita in 125 years of Sri Krishna Leela, and after that the beginning of Kali Yuga, the Iron Age, where there is a lot of evil prevalent in the world. As such, it is called Kali Yuga, where there is the prevalence of Maya, there is a prevalence of suffering, there is a prevalence of ignorance. So With Kali Yuga, we said the Sri Krishna, the power of Sri Krishna, the spirit of Sri Krishna comes in Arab, in the spirit of Prophet Muhammad, and for 63 years. Because the knowledge, the transcendent knowledge that is about to come for this world, it is coming for all. So for both tradition, there should be some indications of the arrival of Buddha Kalki Avatar, the arrival of transcendent knowledge. For those believing in Abrahamic religions to come to that transcendent understanding, there should be some indications there. There should be some references there. As such, in the teachings of Quran, we find few references to Paramdham, few references to the arrival of Isa, Ruha Allah, Isa and Imam, Satguru Shree Devchandraji and Mahamati Prananath. And this transcendent knowledge is coming to this world to illuminate the darkness, both to the east and the west. As such, there has to be some indications. So through Muhammad, the prophecy of the arrival of Imam Mehdi and Ruha Allah is given. The arrival of Mu'min is given. The concepts of the divine are indicated so that those believing in those Abrahamic religious traditions would come, understanding those prophecies, those indications towards that eternal reality. And yesterday we touched upon the birth of Devchandraji Maharaj. जब जन्मे मारवाड़ में घर अति आनंद नर नार यह बधाई ब्रह्मांड में त्रिगुण समेत विस्तार. Since the whole world was awaiting his arrival, since the whole world was awaiting for the arrival of the incarnation of awakened consciousness, Buddha Avatar, the birth of Devchandraji fulfilled it. Everyone was excited. Everyone was filled with bliss. The happiness extended to the whole universe, says Mahamati. And that included the Trinity, Lord Brahmaji, Lord Vishnuji, and Lord Maheshji. As we also talked about the prophecies that were made by Lord Mahesha in Maheshwar Tantra, that Divya Brahma Purashya Brahma Dvitasya Vasana Tasa Mekasa Brahma Subhaga Sundari Priya Marud Dese Kule Sudde Nirupam Satarishyasi Chandra Nama Pumam Loki Harishakti Subhamgati. From the divine abode of Paramdham, the eternal abode of Paramdham, the souls of the Lord, the spirits of the soul, the consorts of the soul living in non-dual existence will descend upon the earth as human beings. Among them would be the leading and dearest soul named Sundarbai, who would appear in this world as Devachandra. The arrival of Devchandraji was predicted long before Devchandraji was even born. It's just when the world knew, when the world realized the advent of Devchandraji Maharaj, the whole mood of the world changed. The whole world felt the bliss. Not knowingly, inadvertently, they were not aware of the reason why, but everybody felt the good mood, the positive vibe. Devchandraji was born in the village of Umarkot in Marwar country. Now that place is located in Sindh province of Pakistan. But 400 years ago, India was not divided into India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and many other countries. The whole Indian subcontinent has been divided into different countries now, but back then it was the Indian subcontinent. So it was 1638 according to Indian calendar, and October 11, 1581 AD, according to the English calendar, that is when Devchandraji was born. As we say, The morning shows the day. Devchandraji had a distinct personality. He was calm and radiant, inquisitive yet respectful. He was humble and he was meek, a pure heart, a pure soul. The sweetness of his words, the smile of his face captivated the attention, captivated the minds and hearts of those visiting Devchandraji's home. A lot of visitors would come to Devchandraji's place because his dad, Mattu Mehta, was a respected businessman who had dealings with the king. And his mother was a true devotee and a pious lady. His mother, Kunvarbai, worshipped Bal Mukundaji. There are different forms of Sri Krishna. One is Bal Mukundaji, the other one is Banke Bihari. Bal Mukundaji is the child form that you see in pictures, stealing butter and all that, putting his hands inside the pot, taking out the yogurt, taking out butter. That Sri Krishna's form is known as Bal Mukundaji. So his mother was a Vaishnava follower. She was not aware of the three distinct Leelas of Sri Krishna, but she was a devotee of Sri Krishna, of Bal Mukundaji. Sri Krishna's child form. As every parent would want, she wants her son to learn spirituality. She wants her son to be respectful. She wants her son to learn the Indian culture. She takes her to prayer room. And Devchandraji stays there. For hours she engages in prayers without any sense of boredom. He is calm, watching every devotional practices that his mother performs. He is inquisitive, he asks questions, yet he is calm. He does not cry, he doesn't want to go out and play with his friends. When he is there in that moment, in that prayer room. One day he sees his mother, Kumarbai, offering milk to Bal Mukundaji. Offering bhog, as we say, offering food to the Lord is offering bhog. When he saw her doing that, it turns out that she offered probably a half glass of milk and the milk remained as it was offered. Apparently, Lord Banke Bihari did not accept the bhog as Devchandraji understood. He was naive, he was innocent. He asked his mother, "Mother, you offered the bhog to Sri Krishna, but it seems like he did not accept it. Why?" His mother did not have any answer to that question because we do offer food and offer bhog to Raji Maharaj, we offer food to our deities, whoever we believe in. Yet it seems like they do not take it, not in a literal term. Whatever food that we offer, that remains intact. And it is believed that they do not accept the food, or they do not accept the food literally, but they accept our disposition, our bhav, our prayers, our feeling of our devotion. That is what they accept. So mom has no answer. She said, I do offer bhog to Sri Krishna, but it is not the food, but my disposition, my feeling, my submission that Sri Krishna embraces. But if you offer with pure heart, you may accept it. So Devchandraji holds his hands closes his eyes, calls out the name of Sri Krishna. Oh Sri Krishna, please come and accept my offerings. And it turns out the glass that was half full is empty. His mother sees the whole events unfolding. His son's innocent request and prayers to Sri Krishna, his humble offerings, and Sri Krishna's acceptance. She gets surprised because never before had such events happened. Never before that Sri Krishna literally accepted the offerings of food. But this time, Sri Krishna accepted the offerings. She realized the divinity of Devchandra. This kid of mine, this child of mine, must be divine, must be somewhat special, because she had not seen, she had not heard of such events anywhere and any time in the past. Devchandraji was such a pure soul, pure heart, inquisitive in his pursuits, in his mind about the worldly realities and of God. 5 वर्ष की जब भय तब चित्त भयो विचार मैं को ये जगत है कहाँ वार कहाँ पार. At the age of 5, he started questioning. He started asking questions about the world. He started asking questions about the God. He started asking questions about why the world is the way it is, why there is so much suffering in this world. How can someone cross over this worldly illusion and find the transcendent understanding, transcendent knowledge, to be one with the Lord? At the age of 5, he asked his mother, he asked his father, he asked everyone who he thought would have an answer. Someone would say, you are too young to look for answers to a question like this. Some would flat out deny, oh, I don't know the answer to these questions. Some would say that you are too young, and once you grow older, you may find the answers yourself. Some would say it takes a lot of efforts, a lot of devotion, a lot of religious practices to realize who you are, who your Lord is, who your Paramatma is. To understand these realities takes a lot of efforts, a lot of religious people would say. He was not convinced. He was not convinced. So he keeps going. He keeps asking people, Dear Sundarsaji, there is a great power in our inquiries, in our questions, in our pursuit of knowing. The law of gravity would not have come to this world. The world would not have found such a law that became a global understanding had Sir Isaac Newton not asked why the apple from the tree, from an apple tree, did not go sideways or didn't go upward, why it dropped to my head. He asked this question, why doesn't it go sideways? There must be something. And he came up with the law of gravity, that the earth has its gravitational force. So it pulls down everything. The air, the air and everything, it pulls down. And that is how the universe is sustained, the world is sustained. All these stars and all the solar system is maintained because everything and the solar system and universe kind of work in harmony with each other because of this gravitational force. Otherwise, all these planets, all these stars would collide with each other, and the existence of life would not have been possible. The questions of why there is suffering in the world transitioned Siddhartha Gautama into Bhagavan Gautam Buddha, because one day, when he sneaked out of the palace, he saw an old man, he saw a sick man, and he saw a dead body being carried away to the bank of a river. And he asked the question, oh, we have to die. We age and we become sick. And he had this question, why is there suffering in this world? That question led him to leave his palace, leave his wife and a small child. He kissed him goodbye at night. He left his royal luxuries to find answers to these questions. And in his old age, he realized he found answers to these questions. And as we know what happened afterwards, the great philosophy of Buddha, Buddhism, the great religion, came into existence. So Devchandraji had these questions in mind, like, who am I? My name is Devchandra, that's the name of my body. But what makes me Devchandra, the life inside me, the soul? He wants to find the identity of that soul. Who is it associated to? There are so many gods, so many deities, so many demigods. But who am I particularly related to? He asked these questions. Because as we know, as I talk about often, I feel comfortable only in my home. I can go to my maternal uncle's house. I can stay there for 3 days. I'll be well respected, well cared for. But from the 4th day, I feel a little awkward because they cannot offer me the same amount of care. But when I come to my home, I can do whatever I feel like doing. I have the sense of comfort, sense of freedom in my house. So if the soul came from Vaikuntha and then returns to Vaikuntha, that is only where the soul finds its solace. If you are coming from Vaikuntha and if you worship the God of heaven, then there is no solace. There is no such comfort. So Devchandraji wants to know, like, who my Lord is. But he wants to know with definitive answer, definitive logic. Not someone telling him, oh, Lord Vishnu is the greatest, or Lord Shiva is the one. He wants to know. At the age of 5, he is looking for these answers. The problem in Umarkot is that it was a desert town, a village where there is a scarcity of water. As such, he does not find many religious priests, preachers, pandits, saints and sages in that village. Usha desha mein sadhu santa avat nahi koi jala kashani dekh gaita kahuna avana hoi, because there is a scarcity of water. If you go to the holy place of Haridwar today, you see a lot of religious saints and sages there, because the holy Ganga, as Americans would say, holy Ganges, holy Ganga flows through Haridwar. And it is easier for those saints and sages with the availability of water there. But in Umarkot, it is a desert town, so there's the lack of water, scarcity of water. So very few religious scholars come by and visit the town. Devchandraji knocks every door, reach out to every temple and religious establishments in his effort to find answers to his questions. Who am I? who is the Lord Supreme, why He created this world, how can we get liberation, how can we get moksha? These questions. And he is only few years old, 5, 6, 7. And a small child asking these questions makes everyone nervous because they do not have answers to these questions. It feels like going to a bigger town, bigger city where there will be a lot of temples and religious saints, religious scholars. He anticipates that with them he could find the answers to his questions. He goes to a temple in the village and circumambulates. He makes round of that temple. He goes to the priest and asks, "Oh Pujariji, oh Mahantaji, have you seen God? Have you met God? Have you realized God?" The priest says, "It takes a lot of efforts. It takes at least 25 years of dedication, 25 years of devotion to God to be able to realize Him, to be able to have a glimpse of Him." Devchandraji asked, "Panditji, how many years of service have you offered to the Lord so far?" The priest, without any hesitation, says, "I've been praying. I'm being the priest for 35 years. Devchandraji asks, "Then you must have realized God." He says, "I do it to support my family because this is the only source of my income. I do not have that devotion. I do not have that dedication. My son, unfortunately, I have not realized God." Devchandraji feels that he may not have 25 years to dedicate to find God. And what if that is not the case? So he keeps wandering here and there in pursuit of the answers to these questions. At the age of 11, Devchandraji got to go to Kacha, a bigger town, bigger city, with his father. He gets to see a lot of temples, a lot of religious saints, scholars, and religious priests. But he does not get to stay there long enough. They stay there for only a few months and they return to Umarkot. बात तब की मन में रहे मैं जाऊं कच्छ में तहां जाए कि खोज करूं पाऊं परमेश्वर बिन से. And from that moment on, he feels like he needs to leave Umarkot to Kacha, where there are so many religious institutions, a lot of temples, a lot of religious preachers, a lot of religious scholars, and that is where I should go. Devchandraji feels, and that is where I'm going to go and pursue the answers to my questions, and it is possible that I may find the Lord Supreme. However, his father, his parents are not really happy with his devotion to the Lord, his dedication, the time that he spends in his pursuits. His father screams at him, saying, "You don't have to go to temple every day. We have a prayer room at our house. You can worship Bal Mukundaji here. Why do you have to spend so much time looking for answers to your stupid questions? You would know God one day. You don't have to do this." Because his father wants him to be a successful businessman like him. He wants to learn. He wants his son to learn the business tricks, business etiquettes, how business is conducted. He wants his son to learn that because at the end of the day, he knows the people with wealth are well respected in the society. He wants his son to be successful. He doesn't want his son to be a spiritual master, things of that nature. He doesn't want his son to be so deeply religiously inclined. Mom agrees. Mom wants him to have some religious beliefs. Mom wants him to be respectful, but mom does not want her son to be fully engaged in religious practices. No, she wants him to be as successful as his father. So, घर में खटपट रहे, मन में रहे बैराग, दुनि से बैर रहे, उन्हें देखे लगे आग. So there is a lot of tussle at home, a lot of fight at home, a lot of criticisms of each other at home. And Devchandraji is frustrated because his pursuits are not taking steam. It is not taking any speed that he wants. He wants to reach out to every religious saints and sages and scholars to find answers to his questions. The problem is in Umarko, there are not that many of them. And those that are there, he has already asked them. He does not find any convincing answers to the questions that he have. Duni se baira rahe une la dekhe lage aag. The children of his age are so engaged in worldly affairs, playing games, going outdoors, extroverts. Devchandraji, in his journey inward, is trying to realize the self. He's in the journey of self-realization. He's in the journey of God realization. So he is away from the world. He's distant from the world. He's distant from the worldly realities. He's not interested in the worldly affairs. He's only interested about realizing God, finding answers that are so bugging him from an early age. He feels like he needs to leave his home. It feels like he needs to leave his parents back and leave for Kutch, a bigger town, a bigger city with a lot of temples, a lot of religious scholars. From 11 years to 17 years, when he actually leaves Umarkot to Kutch, became so frustrating for him. Those 6 years, because he saw what he could find in Kutch, but he could not leave. At the age of 17, he decides that he needs to leave his home in pursuit of the Brahma, in the pursuit of the answers to his questions. He knew in the meantime that the prince of Umarkot was getting married. So the bridal procession was going to Kutch. So he felt like that was a good opportunity for him to go to Kutch. He goes to the minister, asks him if he has any space, if he can take him with him to Kutch. To that, the minister says, we do not have any space. All the carts are full. All the horses have the riders. So we cannot probably accommodate you. Devchandraji felt that I'm in the spiritual journey. In this spiritual journey, Sundarsaji, we do not have any friends. Although Siddhartha Gautama was the prince, he was alone, sneaking out of the palace. He did not have any friends. He did not have any guards. The journey of novelty, the journey of greater accomplishments are walked alone. So Devchandraji realized that, why did I even ask them? They are walking in the journey of material forgetfulness. I'm in the path of spiritual realization. I'm in a more difficult path. And the more difficult the path is, the less friends you have, the less friends you get to accompany you. If there's a party, let's say a birthday party, or baby shower, or functions like that, and you invite people, you find hundreds of people in your apartment, in your house. But if you ask them, let's go to the temple today, let's go to the satsang today, you find everyone saying, I don't have time for that. Isn't that true? Because the spiritual journey is walked alone. You don't have friends. When you do something new, when you do something that is beyond everybody's comprehension, that is beyond everybody's power, everybody's interest, then you are alone. You are alone. That is why there is an English adage saying, novelty, a new thing, a new endeavor is first ridiculed, then criticized, then violently opposed, and finally widely accepted. So when Siddhartha Gautama left the palace, he was the prince. When he got to a new village, a new place where he was not recognized, he was just an ordinary man with his torn clothes, with his tired face. People thought of him probably as a beggar. He was not the prince there because nobody knew him. They probably ridiculed him. People questioned his integrity. People thought he was a fraud, some of them at least. And even when he started preaching, people were critical of him. They were criticizing him. But when they lost to his consistent efforts, his understanding, when they realized his divinity, Siddhartha Gautama was widely regarded as God Gautama Buddha, an enlightened one, the enlightened one. Here Sundarsaji. Devchandraji realized that in this journey of spiritual pursuit, I should have known that I'm gonna be alone. So he realizes that he would sneak out of house in the evening and follow the footstep of those and the steps of those carts and the people who are joining the team marriage procession, and he would follow them to Kutch. They were in their horses and carts. Devchandraji had to walk. But he felt that with the help of the Lord that he was in pursuit of, would be able to guide him. At the age of 17, he leaves the house. Kamara bandate bandate kasutila ho gayi. And preparing something, packing some things up, like a little bit of rice and some grains and some pots and cutleries and things of that nature. It took some time and it started to get dark. At the age of 17, he leaves his home in pursuit of Brahma, alone, nobody to accompany him. Dear Sundarsaji, when we try to do something in this world, when we try to do something new, something creative, something good, initially, we do not have any friends. We are ridiculed, we are criticized, but we should never give up in what we truly believe in. Every successful man in this world had to endure that one day or the other. When Bill Gates dropped out of Harvard University, one of the best in the world, everybody made fun of him for his stupidity, because he was admitted to one of the best. And getting admitted to Harvard is a dream come true for many of the world's most talented individuals. and he was dropping out of it. He established a lab inside his dorm, and he became the founder of Microsoft, one of the biggest companies in the world. According to market valuation, Microsoft is the second biggest company in the world. And Bill Gates turned out to be one of the richest in the world. Actually, he had the crown of richest man in the world for 10, 15 consecutive years until Jeff Bezos overtook that crown. Dear Sundarsats. So the journey begins, the journey of something new, the journey of novelty, journey of creativity has to endure the early days of struggle, early days of loneliness, early days of sweat and toil. It is hard work. Devchandraji is ready for that journey now. At the age of 17, he sneaks out of the home in pursuit of Brahma. We will continue to talk about his journey, the challenges he faced, the consistency, the perseverance, the relentless effort to find answers to his questions. We'll continue to talk about that. Dear Sundarsaji, the life of Satguru Devchandraji, his penance, is the art of living that we can all benefit from. Everything that is explained about his life can become a guiding rod, a guiding light for us to succeed in this life and to attain what he did, to attain, to understand, to have that awakened consciousness illuminated within us. That is why we will go into the depth and find every lesson that we can from the life of Satguru Devchandraji, such that the youth, the youngsters of today would be able to handle the difficult situations better, to have that never give up attitude in them, to have a belief in themselves. That is why we are learning this Beetak discourse. We are being a part of this discourse. We are learning about the life of Satguru Sri Devchandraji and Mahamati Prananath. With this, I conclude today's discourse, the life of Satguru Devchandraji.